Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something pretty amazing, dolphin communication, and specifically a new AI model called DolphinGemma.
Yeah, it's creating quite a stir. It's this new tool that promises, well, maybe a shortcut to understanding something incredibly complex.
Exactly. Think of this as your, fast track. We want you to grasp the essentials without getting totally bogged down in the super technical stuff.
And it's a really interesting group behind it.
Right, it's a collaboration. You've got Google, Georgia Tech, and the Wild Dolphin Project all working together.
Their goal, basically, to build an AI that can listen to and maybe start to interpret all those dolphin sounds, the clicks, the whistles, the boost pulses, all that stuff.
It's fascinating. And for you listening, our deep dive today is based primarily on a specific report.
That's right. It's called DolphinGemma, a transformative AI model for decoding dolphin communication.pdf. That's our main source here.
So our mission really is to help you understand what DolphinGemma actually is, how it works, what it might mean for marine biology.
And also touch on some of the bigger ethical questions that come up with this kind of technology.
Yeah, we want you to get that aha feeling, understand the core ideas without needing like an advanced degree. Okay, so let's unpack this. First things first, what is DolphinGemma?
Okay, so at its heart, DolphinGemma is an AI model. It's around 400 million parameters.
Now, 400 million sounds like a lot.
It does, but in the AI world, it's actually pretty streamlined. Think of it as maybe more agile compared to some of the huge models out there. It's adapted from Google's Gemma models, but with a really crucial twist.
Which is?
It's designed for audio in, audio out.
Okay, audio in, audio out.
Hi.
Sounds straightforward, but why is that such a big deal here?
Well, it means the AI works directly with the raw dolphin sounds. Most language models, they need text input, they analyze words.
Right.
DolphinGemma, it skips that. It takes the actual sound waves, the raw acoustics, and works from there. And a key piece of tech that lets it do this is something called the SoundStream tokenizer.
SoundStream tokenizer. All right, new term. What's that doing?
So imagine you have a continuous sound, like a long dolphin whistle. The tokenizer breaks that stream down into discrete individual units. It's kind of like taking a sentence and splitting it into words, but for sound.
Ah, okay, so it's chopping up the continuous audio.
Exactly. It turns those clicks, whistles, bursts, pulses, all that raw audio into these separate tokens that the AI can then analyze much more efficiently. So it's not us imposing categories. The AI is learning to segment the sounds itself. It's a different approach, really.
It's like letting the AI figure out the words in dolphin speak rather than us guessing.
Precisely. And here's where it gets really practical and frankly pretty cool. Because it's relatively small, computationally speaking, they can actually run on a regular Pixel smartphone.
Wait, seriously? On a phone? That's...
Yeah.
Well,
so researchers out in the field, on a boat maybe, could potentially have this AI running right there with them.
that changes everything, doesn't it? No need for bulky custom hardware in the field.
Exactly. That accessibility is huge. It makes real-time analysis possible in a way it just wasn't before. You're right there, in the dolphin's environment, capturing things as they happen.
It puts the tech right where the action is. That feels like a massive step. Okay, so it's portable. It handles raw audio.
Yeah.
What about the architecture, the design principles behind it?
Well, we've hit on the lightweight design, the mobile optimization that's key for practicality, and the SoundStream tokenizer converting the audio. But that audio in, audio out design also opens doors for interaction.
How so?
Imagine a researcher sees a particular behavior, say, two dolphins interacting aggressively. They could potentially note that behavior, and the AI, running in real time, might highlight the specific vocalizations happening at that exact moment.
So almost like an AI field assistant pointing out sound patterns linked to what you're seeing.
Kind of, yeah. It's more about identifying patterns and correlations than, say, direct translation. But it helps focus attention. And importantly, DolphinGemma is designed to handle complex sequences of sounds.
Right, because dolphin communication isn't just isolated noises.
No, it's intricate combinations, clicks, followed by whistles, then maybe a burst pulse. The model needs to analyze those longer strings of sounds.
Like understanding sentences, not just individual words.
Yeah.
The grammar of their communication, maybe.
Exactly. And the training data is absolutely crucial here. DolphinGemma was trained on literally decades of data from the Wild Dolphin Project. We can call them WDP.
Decades. Wow.
Yeah. And it's not just sounds, it's labeled data. So specific signature whistles linked to known individual dolphins, certain burst pulse squawks recorded during specific social encounters, click buzzes during foraging, all connected to detailed behavioral notes and even the life histories of these individual animals.
That's incredibly rich context. It's not just random sounds. It's sounds with meaning attached, at least contextually.
Precisely. That context allows the AI to find subtle links between sound patterns and what the dolphins are actually doing. And there's another piece. It's integration with something called the CHAT system.
Chat. What's that?
It stands for Cetacean Hearing Augmentation Telemetry. It's a system designed for, well, attempting a kind of two-way interaction.
Two-way. How does that work?
CHAT uses synthetic whistles, sounds actually generated by DolphinGemma, and links them to specific things, often objects dolphins show interest in, like seagrass or even colorful scarves.
Okay.
The researchers play a specific synthetic whistle associated with, say, seagrass. If a dolphin mimics that whistle back, DolphinGemma helps recognize that mimicry. It suggests the dolphin might be associating the sound with the object.
So it's like trying to build a tiny shared vocabulary, like pointing and naming.
That's a really good way to think about it. Very basic, very rudimentary.
Yeah.
But it uses the AI's ability to both generate and recognize these specific sounds. It's this feedback loop.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
But I guess there's a caveat.
A very important one. DolphinGemma is fantastic at finding these structural patterns in the sounds. It can identify signature whistles, it can recognize mimicry, but it doesn't understand the meaning behind them.
Right.
Interpreting what those patterns actually mean in terms of dolphin cognition or intent, that still absolutely requires human expertise, the marine biologists who understand the animals and their behavior.
The AI finds the patterns, the humans interpret the meaning. That makes sense. Okay, so how did they actually teach DolphinGemma all this? What did the training look like?
It was a mix, actually, a hybrid approach. First, there was supervised learning. That's where they used all that rich labeled data from the WDP we talked about.
So showing the AI, this sound often happens with this specific behavior, learning by example.
Exactly. But they also use semi-supervised learning.
Okay, how's that different?
With semi-supervised learning, the AI looks for patterns in data that isn't all neatly labeled. Think of it like learning grammar rules from a textbook, but then also learning slang and idioms just by listening to people talk.
So it can find patterns even if we haven't explicitly told it what they mean.
Precisely. It's crucial because labeling decades of audio data perfectly is, well, practically impossible. This lets the AI learn from a much wider range of sounds, potentially finding structures we didn't even know existed.
Uncovering the hidden grammar, maybe.
That's the hope. And then, of course, there's the synthetic sound generation we mentioned with CHAT. Creating those specific whistles and seeing if dolphins respond helps train the model, too. It learns to recognize novel sounds within that interactive context.
So it's learning from the interaction itself, a continuous feedback loop.
Exactly. A dolphin mimics a synthetic whistle. DolphinGemma flags it. The researcher reinforces it, maybe by offering the associated object. It refines the AI's recognition and potentially the dolphin's association.
And again, that massive WDP data set underpins all of this.
Absolutely. Having those long-term histories, tracking individual dolphins, their relationships, how their calls change over time, that provides a depth that's just invaluable for training an AI like this. You wouldn't get that from a short-term study.
Right. So, okay, it sounds impressive in theory. How does it actually perform? What are the results?
Well, the reports suggest it's proving to be a really effective tool, especially its accuracy and speed, and particularly its efficiency for that field research aspect.
Running on the phone, analyzing in real time.
Exactly. And the chat system integration is a key real-world application. They're actually planning enhancements for that, using Pixel 9 phones next summer 2025 for better microphone and speaker capabilities to improve those interactions.
So, doubling down on that interactive element, trying to build that shared vocabulary with the synthetic whistles.
Seems like it. But beyond chat, just analyzing the natural sounds. Because it's trained on all that WDP data, DolphinGemma is getting good at spotting recurring patterns, identifying signature whistles automatically, recognizing specific squawks or buzzes, and even predicting likely sequences of sounds.
Which must save researchers an enormous amount of time, right? Instead of listening through hours of tape.
Oh, definitely. It cuts down dramatically on the manual analysis needed, freeing up researchers to think about the bigger picture, the more complex questions about behavior and society.
That seems like a huge practical benefit.
It really is. And another exciting development is the plan to make DolphinGemma open source.
Oh, wow. When's that happening?
Scheduled for summer 2025 as well.
That's fantastic. That could really spread this capability around the research community.
That's the goal. Researchers studying bottlenose dolphins, spinner dolphins, other species, they could potentially adapt DolphinGemma for their own work.
Of course, they'd need good data for those species too, right? The labeled data.
Absolutely. The model's only as good as the data it's trained on. But having the core model available open source is a massive starting point.
It provides the engine. Researchers provide the fuel, basically.
A good way to put it, and initial feedback. Researchers seem to really value the on-device processing, the efficiency, the scalability, but, there are also critiques or maybe cautions.
Like what?
Concerns about potential biases, because the main training data is from one specific population, Atlantic spotted dolphins, and the ongoing challenge of avoiding anthropocentric interpretations, basically projecting human meanings onto dolphin sounds.
Right, the risk of hearing what we want to hear. That makes sense. Okay, this is super interesting. How does DolphinGemma stack up against, say, the big general-purpose AI models we hear about more often, like Llama or GPT?
That's a useful comparison. The most obvious difference is scale, right? Llama 4 Maverick, for instance, has billions of parameters, needs serious computing power.
And DolphinGemma is around 400 million running on a phone.
Exactly. So DolphinGemma has this huge advantage for field deployment. Portability, real-time analysis without needing, a supercomputer on the boat. It's built for a specific niche.
So it's specialized, not a generalist.
Absolutely. Llama, GPT, they're designed for a vast range of language tasks. DolphinGemma is laser-focused on bioacoustics specifically, processing those complex extended sequences of dolphin sounds using that SoundStream tokenizer.
It's tuned for audio patterns, not text patterns.
Right. It's designed to identify those clusters of sounds, generate novel whistles for the chat system, tasks that a general language model just isn't built for.
Different tools for different jobs.
Precisely. And the feedback reflects that researchers love the real-time adaptability the low hardware needs. But, as we said, the limitation is data availability for other species. A model like Llama is trained on unimaginably vast and diverse datasets, which DolphinGemma just doesn't have for, say, humpback whales yet.
Got it. So to really nail this down, let's quickly recap the key technical points from the report.
Sure. So key specs. Model size, roughly 400 million parameters. Processing, it's that audio in, audio out using the SoundStream tokenizer.
Runs on.
Optimized for Google Pixel phones, which means...
Computational efficiency, real-time analysis in the field.
Yep. Dataset source is primarily that long-term WDP data on Atlantic spotted dolphins.
Including things like signature whistles, burst pulses.
Squawks, click buzzes, all linked to behavior. Learning approach is mainly semi-supervised.
Plus that synthetic sound integration.
Right, generating novel whistles for interaction via the chat system. That chat integration is key for the two-way communication attempts.
Supporting field research directly on phones, with plans for better hardware like Pixel 9.
Exactly. And compared to other AIs like Claude, GPT, Llama, DolphinGemma is highly specialized for bioacoustics and this kind of interspecies communication research.
Okay, perfect. That's a really clear picture. So bringing us all together as we wrap up, what are the biggest takeaways for you?
I think the main thing is that DolphinGemma really does feel like a significant step, maybe even a leap. Its specific design, how it's trained on that deep WDP data, the fact that it works in the field, it's exciting. It feels like AI is genuinely starting to help us bridge that communication gap, or at least understand the structure of communication with another intelligent species.
Yeah, that aha moment of potentially understanding dolphin societies on a whole new level.
Absolutely. It could really revolutionize marine biology, giving us insights into their social lives, their cognition, in ways that were just impossible before.
And the open source plan feels crucial too.
Definitely. Making it available next summer could kickstart research globally, applying this approach to many other whales and dolphins. It's not just one project, it's potentially a tool for the whole community.
Spreading the capability.
Exactly, a platform for discovery.
This has been incredibly insightful. It really leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If we can build AI like DolphinGemma for dolphins, what does that mean for understanding other non-human intelligences in the future?
Right. What other complex communication systems, acoustic, visual, maybe even chemical, might we eventually be able to unpack with tools like this?
What other languages are out there waiting to be decoded? It's a fascinating thought to end on. Thank you so much for walking us through this.
My pleasure. It's truly exciting work.